Hello, everyone. Greetings and welcome to the first session of YGLN February Masterclass. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is James Amankwaye Boakran. I would be hosting the webinar on business beyond profits. That's driving purpose through the SDGs framework. I am a project officer with YGLN, and I have with me Leader Barak too, who are project officers for the project. And yeah, I would also like to introduce our guest lecturer who so willingly took upon himself to take us through this inspiring and educative class that we are about to have. We have the person of Mr. Dennis Bai. So Dennis Bai is an astute professional who is currently in China, right? He's currently in China and he will be taking us through as our guest lecturer. So without much ado, I'd like him to say some few words before he takes us through this amazing webinar that we are yet to have. So, Mr. Dennis, please let's hear from you.
Thank you, James, for ushering us in to today's webinar. I want to say today is going to be a very relaxed, it's going to be a very relaxed sort of time of interaction between, me and the rest of the people joining on over. I'd like to firstly say thank you for organizing and to you and your team of officers. I mean, it is not an easy thing to gather young people for these kind of purposes. So, yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to a wonderful time with the team.
Thank you so much. So, before we start, I'll just say a little bit about the background of YGLN. So, YGLN is a youth development organization that is focused on key topics such as entrepreneurship and leadership development and building the capacity of the youth across Africa. And we are very much dedicated to equipping the youth with various capacities so that they can be able to thrive in this changing world where one has to be strategically equipped with a lot of skills, including entrepreneurial skills, digital skills, amongst other skills that are very important. And that has necessitated this masterclass session. And we are very committed to ensuring that we reach out to a lot of people on the African continent, especially the youth, so that they are able to take charge of their own lives and get access to opportunities by equipping them with the leadership mindsets and the skills that they are supposed to, be equipped with so that they can thrive within their various environments. So yes, this is the work of YGLN, and we are excited to collaborate with more outstanding professionals like Mr. Dennis, yourself, and amongst you, of course, our various members from different countries and all. We have a lot of people that are repping, and most are from the African continent, and they are very much excited to learn more. So, yes, let's delve into this. I leave the baton with you, Mr. Dennis. Yeah.
Thank you, James. Thank you so much. And welcome to everyone. Welcome to our class today. I see we have up to 9 persons. Hopefully, other people are joining us. And when they join, I hope that we are not too far that they will be lost behind. So yeah, today's class is about business beyond profit, driving the purpose through the SDGs framework. I'm pretty sure most of us are somewhere or the other sort of acquainted with, the sort of topics. But as I was invited as one of the lecturers here to to sort of drill us through some inspirations based on my own experience, and it's a pleasure to be here. So, in our world predominantly driven by capitalism, one of the biggest question for emerging entrepreneurs is, what legacy do we leave behind? And even in our quest to amass wealth, what impact do we make on the ordinary people with our business ideas, our entrepreneurship, and our innovation, so that it leaves a mark to sort of better the lives of the ordinary people? Let me again say thank you to the Young Global Leaders Network and the organizers of the 2025 NextGen Masterclass. I mean, Barack and I, we'll be going back and forth in the days and weeks leading up to this masterclass. So I can understand how much effort and energy and resource and sacrifice you put in to make this masterclass a success. And for many of us who are joining from different time zones, I know it is not easy. Some have to wake up from the bed. Some have not even woke up yet. Some people are having the church services, and they have to make time for this. So I'd like to say thank you. I admire your courage, and hopefully you are not disappointed, in the time you spent here today. But my objective of this class is not to bore you with facts and stats, those information that you already know or could easily gather from the internet. Instead, I intend to share my own experience as a tool to equip participants with some action with steps into how we can align our business ideas with the SDGs while impacting our communities. And to facilitate our class today, I wish to share my joining as the founder of uh, DTech Solar Company, College Connect Education LLC, and the many lessons I've learned while serving as General Secretary for Asia Affairs at the Economic and Trade Corporation of African Youth. I will go on to subsequently review some business potential in Africa, the SDGs in the context of Africa's development, and try to introduce a few practical steps for a successful business that goes beyond profit in Africa. Preferably, I hope at the end of our lecture, we have some time to interact for some Q&As so we can exchange some ideas. But it is very important that we contextualize developmental potential in Africa. Uh, it is inarguable that Africa has the fastest growing young population compared to any other continent. As you can see in the graph, it has been reported by the New York Times that by 2050, one in every person of the earth will be African. And if we hold this projection to be true, how then now can we use or utilize this vast human resource to advance the continent? And it is evident that with this growing population, unemployment seems to be one of the most significant challenge concerning youth empowerment on the continent. And to aid our governments, young people are taking the lead. We see some young people on the continent are doing their own startups. They're innovating and trying to create businesses to fill this deficit in employment rate on the continent. So be it e-commerce or food security or beauty products, like my own country Mabu Johnson is doing in Liberia, who has been doing an incredible work there with Geopalm. Youth are taking the lead. They are not just waiting for handouts from non-governmental organizations or even their government. But yet, we will agree that amidst these initiatives that have been undertaken by young people, there exists a plethora of challenges surrounding youth entrepreneurship in Africa. Firstly, we will agree that there still exists a limited access to capital and infrastructure on the continent. Uh, Amidst this thriving infrastructure that we have, some African countries are still struggling, but getting money from the bank is a serious challenge. This has posed a, a, a threat to youth entrepreneurship and innovation in Africa, and it has even stalled some of the brilliant projects that could lead for the continent in Africa. Uh, in fact, there there's a thing now that some banks are they're very tough on lending money out to young entrepreneurs because some people don't even have the record to show that they can repay some of this loan back. We jokingly say there are some banks that will even ask you for the DNA of your ancestors to even give you a loan of $100 with an interest rate of 25 percent. And so this is one of the challenge that young people face in raising startup capital for their own business initiative. One of the second challenge for youth entrepreneurship is the high unemployment rate, particularly among youth. Because even with these business endeavors, and they're also trying to create jobs, they cannot do all. And the number is so huge that even if you have a million business on the continent, there will still be some deficit. Kenya is a typical example of this issue, considering the recent uprise of Gen Zs and their own engagement with the government few months ago. A third challenge, which is not the only one, is this underdeveloped industries and markets that we have in Africa. Youth are innovating, youth are taking the lead. However, uh, the market system in Africa and our infrastructure are still challenging. So this has posed a serious threat to youth innovation and entrepreneurship. But amidst these challenges, we will all agree that they are recipes for business. There are also opportunities because business cannot thrive without challenges. It is on the foundation of challenges that business find opportunities. One of the huge opportunities that we don't look at in Africa most likely is this huge untapped natural resource that we have and this massive trend now of renewable energy on the continent. In my country, for example, we have many creeks and rivers. And these natural incentives that could generate electricity, yet only a few of these are being utilized. In fact, 68.2% of the population still have no access to electricity. And most of these people live in the rural areas. And but we will agree that this provides is also an indicator for energy entrepreneurship and innovation. The second opportunity that we see on the continent is this growing digital economy among young people. If we did a simple survey by virtue of the fact that you are joining this webinar, uh, you you might have had an access to a laptop or maybe your smartphone before you join this meeting. And in 2024, the World Bank and the African Development Bank recorded 650 million mobile phone users on the continent. In my country, we jokingly say the Liberian population is very small, that you could find everyone on Instagram or Facebook. But as funny as this might sound, it is a huge potential. And it is an incentive that is rapidly changing the way this traditional way we see social entrepreneurship in Africa's internet and telecommunication industry. The the third opportunity that is prevalent on the continent is Africa's role as a future leader in sustainable innovation, particularly in technology leapfrog. So we notice that most of the technologies we use in Africa today are not that which have evolved gradually compared to Europe and other places on the globe. We've actually jumped from this traditional to this modern technology for most of the industries. Take for example, when most of us here, or could be maybe say Gen Zs or millennials, I guess. But you will agree that when when you started getting introduced to telecommunication sort of facilities, it was not the telephone. Most of us started with this analog phone, the Nokia 3310, the C19 Motorola. So we see we've actually jumped from telephone to analog, and then we jumped directly to smartphones. So, uh, and this is the case for most of Gen Zs, and now we have Gen Alpha and also Gen Beta. Also, they're now using the internet, pretty much exposed to a newer technology that uh, did not sort of gradually evolve. Another issue is the internet banking, and last time I was in Kenya, I think I saw a lot of people using M-Pesa. M-Pesa in my own country as what we use the mobile money. And this is a pretty much everyday routine for people buying and transacting and paying for goods and services. And young people now who do not even have the idea of a bank account can access the finances right from the mobile phone. It is an incredible leapfrog. Another issue is with electricity. The way we access electricity now uh, is evolving, and it has leapfrogged to a larger extent. For some young people who find themselves in places like some developed nations like South Africa or Namibia, the first access to the motor vehicle could be EVs, and we see that this trend of even transportation is gradually changing as well for Africa. And you can name a many more sort of examples and where the continent has shown this probability of technological leapfrog for its own development. Fourth on the list is Africa's new industrial frontier. For many of us who are acquainted with developmental history, we will agree that most of Europe's development can be attributed to cheap energy source like wood and coal for power generation, which gradually evolved into the use of oil and gas. Sadly for Africa, as a latecomer in development or industrialization, she may not enjoy the luxury of industrializing at the expense of the current issue that we face with global warming. So the responsibility now is on us Afro entrepreneurs and innovators to find a more eco-friendly model for power generation and to aid the continent's productivity. So these challenges, I do believe they exist. However, they are opportunities for business. But the catch-22 now is how we can, of course, juxtapose these challenges and opportunities with this meager resources we have on the continent for the continental growth and development. Through my experience, I've come to find this answer in the Sustainable Development Goals. I do believe that the SDGs, though themselves somewhat short term, can be leveraged for sustainable youth empowerment in the long term. This means we ought to firstly understand the Sustainable Development Goals. Uh, I'm pretty sure most of us have heard or, are some way or the other acquainted with the SDGs or, have been involved with SDGs pillows. So we will agree that the SDGs are the 17 SDGs are blueprints. They are just blueprints for peace, prosperity, and sustainability, which makes them a strategic tool for businesses. Some common SDGs I myself have been involved with as an African entrepreneur and youth leader in the African diaspora happen to be one, the issue of SDG 4 that has to do with quality education. Um, and this has impacted my own life and my own growth. I'll tell you a little story. I graduated from high school in 2021, and as God will have it, I was one of the few lucky people to have been enrolled at the University of Liberia to study geology. But as a lover of social interactions, I found myself studying rock, pressure, and time. It was a very fascinating experience. However, geology was not really my passion. Uh, Nonetheless, due to this discovery of oil and the prospect of drilling oil in Liberia, I was very motivated to study hard. I wanted to win some of the most prestigious scholarships and even form part of the student leadership at the Department of Engineering in Liberia. But I'm sitting in my dorm room, and one evening after class, and a good friend came up to me, Chris, I still remember. He said, Dennis, I see that you're doing pretty well with, like engagement, student engagement, and it seems like you're a people person. I'm like, okay. So he went and he goes on to ask, are you really happy doing geology? And I paused for a while. But though my answer back then was yes, perhaps, out of wanting to belong, it kept playing on me, for months. But I would later come to the conclusion that though I came from high school with pretty good grades or scores, that was not the only justification for doing geology. Because actually, career should align with passion and ability. Not because you have the 90s, the hundreds in high school, it means that you are cut for a certain field. But fast forward in 2017, I'm in Liberia and I have the opportunity to study in China. My family, who did not have that much to give, took out some macro loans to support my studies. But unfortunately, a few of my friends who are have also convinced to take on the offer got scammed. Not by the institution who had admitted us, but by travel agency. Uh, this travel agency had offered to secure some tickets for us at a cheaper price. We Africans, especially when you're coming from a family that don't really have that much, we love cheap things, and sometimes the price you pay for cheap things are even more than the actual price of that thing. But we were scammed, and though there were some steps taken to make the lady repay the refund the money, it was not possible. I mean, we took her to court, and she even went in the newspaper. I still have some of the copy of the newspaper here, but time was not in our favor. We were against, the registration enrollment period, so we had to leave. But I was crushed. I felt bad. But by God's grace and the help of other family members and friends, we finally made our way to China. But again, I'm sitting in my dorm room during some cold winter evening, and I kept asking myself, how many young people are going through similar experience that I went through? And in fact, how many young people, due to the lack of career mentorship, have made career choices based on their peer pressure or their parents? Because in Africa, parents are a huge motivation on the choice of say the career path young people take. Uh, but I kept asking, but how many people, how many young people, also like me, who have dreams of even studying abroad, have been disadvantaged or have been scammed as well, and their journeys have been cut short because of dishonest people in their respective country. So this experience, coupled with some inspiration that I gathered from the SDG, led to the establishment of College Connect Education LSC. And as of this year, we've successfully helped more than 200 young people from all over Africa to study abroad. Some have received partial scholarships, some have received full scholarships, and are still doing more. With our business initiative, we've simplified the information access uh, for interested candidates, and we are also helping to curb this issue of fraud and scam within African countries. And so between 2017 to 2024, we have processed at least 1,056 applicants. We've secured 982 offers, and we can trace 200 successful candidates from all over Africa, including countries from the global south. Some have completed their bachelor, some have their master's degree, some even PhD, particularly in China and other parts of the world, including Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and the United States. So at College Connect LSC, we take absolute pride in our team ability, to contribute to Africa's growth and development through the SDG 4. As we have rolled out our services as well in Pretoria, South Africa, as well as New York. We hope to see even more young people benefit from such an opportunity. I've also been involved with SDG 7. So while doing my undergraduate studies in China, I had major international economics and trade, where I researched the impact of regional integration on economic development using ECOWAS as a case study. So ECOWAS is the Economic Community of West African States. That's more like the West African equivalent of the East African Community or even SADC. But during my research, the study found that the power deficit was one of the root causes of the region's low productivity. And based on this finding, I endeavor along with other young entrepreneurs to establish DTech Solar in helping to provide these energy modules to low power consumers in the rural Liberia. Today, we are proud to have provided 500 small household solar modules for some of the most remote areas in Liberia, as well as some part of Africa. And this passion to make an impact through the energy delivery have also greatly influenced my further studies. In fact, when I did my master's at Peking University, I study international relations, but my research was mainly based on energy security, where I defended my thesis on Chinese solar investment in Africa, highlighting the challenges as well as the opportunities. And this year we are rolling out our back to school solar bags for young students, and an initiative that we are very excited about. As far as SDG 8 is concerned, it has to do with decent work and economic growth. I'm privileged to also serve as General Secretary for Asia Africa Affairs at the Economic and Trade Corporation of African Youth, where we champion youth empowerment in the African diaspora. And at ETK, we are concerned with three main KPIs. So KPIs will be the key performing indexes or indicators, namely youth economic empowerment, youth African youth advocacy, as well as youth entrepreneurship. And through these KPIs, I've had the absolute honor of working with some of Africa's brilliant minds. Um, I've also had the privilege of doing diplomatic engagements to help make the case for African startups in achieving the business goal, both in Asia as well as Africa. As you see in this picture, we've helped shape a handful of businesses on the continent, especially in the African diaspora, and through our programs by encouraging Afro entrepreneurs in the coffee sector. As you see in this picture, in 2022, we hosted the Coffee Entrepreneurship Mix-up to promote collaboration between Chinese and African coffee shop owners. We invited coffee brands like Starbucks, Lockins, and Waco, and many other coffee brands and coffee chain stores in doing business in Asia. As you may be aware, coffee originated in Africa. And this is one detail that most of us uh, tend to ignore. Ethiopia, which is said to be the place of origin, uh, has exported some of Africa's finest quality of coffee beans to many parts of the world. But even with this advantage of having one of the world's most consumed produce, we still struggle to tell the African story behind coffee. You see, every country have then sort of mastered this coffee culture or even coffee production. Countries like Italy, France, and even nations within the Asia Pacific have all mastered, like coffee production. But one thing about, uh, you know, procurement in terms of, coffee, people look out for originality. I'll give you one example. I have a thing for coffee shops, though I barely drink coffee. Uh, and whenever I travel around, I love to visit, coffee shops, just have some time of peace and do some computer work. So I'm in Dubai this day, and I decided to find a place to sit down, to do some work. And it happened that this coffee shop was doing a coffee testing session. And the barrister then went on to introduce the different coffees, different brands of coffee he had on his counter. He talked briefly about the Italian one. He talked about coffee brands from China and the Brazilian one, and then he went on to explain about the Ethiopian one. Actually, he spent more time on talking about the African coffee, compared to the other coffee brands. But and like people were really sort of gravitating towards, like tasting that coffee. But I sat and kept wondering, but why are people actually gravitating to the African coffee more? Because if you look at the branding, the Chinese coffee was really looking good. Like they had this round cup, and then they had some drawing on it, some printing. It if I walk in a coffee shop or in a store and saw, that brand, I would have bought it. But there's something really interesting about why the people gravitated towards the African coffee more. It was not really because of the brand. It was because of of the originality. This is what makes African coffee that unique. And so many people will ask, like, but why do people keep coming back to Africa, when you have compelling, coffee products all around the globe? It's because of this originality. And so this is our strength. This is our selling point, and this is our advantage. Uh, so our intention with this coffee entrepreneurship mixer was to encourage entrepreneurs to use this originality of coffee from Africa as the African agency in selling coffee. Because when you sell a product from Africa, it's not just that product you're selling the story of the African people and the culture that's around, that coffee production. In this case, the coffee product. Uh, this is the African agency, and this is what we always encourage young entrepreneurs to look out for. Another cornerstone that we've been able to plant within the African diaspora is the creation of a conducive space for Afro entrepreneurs to thrive in the diaspora. Though there are a couple of incubators around China and other places in Asia, young people still struggle to find a community where they can meet and collaborate with other young-minded people. Additionally, having a business address, if you are someone who have opened a business before, you would agree that that's one of the requirements. And so it has been one of the most pressing challenge for people registering their business in China. But the way we tried to solve this issue was to work along with some of our sponsors and partners in securing a space where startups can call their home. So we offer a 1 year free and flexible plan, some arrangement for startups until they can get on their feet. And we are glad to have provided an ease for young people wanting to turn their business ideas into reality. We've also been prone on intellectual dialogues. In 2022, we hosted the Youth World Vision, um, where we invited young intellectuals in Beijing to talk about Africa's development and to find ways forward where some of the potential, especially youth potentials, can be utilized for the continent's growth and development. I've also been involved with SDG 13 that has to do with climate actions. As a doctoral candidate in international relations and foreign policy, my research is focused on development, especially in the global south. Specifically, I am looking into special economic zones in Africa and how uh, Africa's new industrial frontier can be contextualized for industrialization revolution through green energy leapfrog. Last November, I had the honor of attending the annual African Special Economic Zones Conference in Nairobi. The conference focused on many things, including uh, policy and regulatory framework, and discussing how we can balance the incentives of SEZs in Africa for Africa's development. During my stay in Kenya, I really enjoy meeting other incredible young people who are also channeling the SDGs and the SDG pillars through special economic zones. Uh, it was indeed an amazing experience. And by coincidence, I even celebrated my first birthday within the East African community. But I should be quick to mention that I'm not the only one who's involved or obsessed with the SDGs and the potential for Afro entrepreneurship. In fact, in Kenya, there is a group called Twiga. It's a startup called Twiga. They are involved with agriculture and technology that aligns with the SDG 2, specifically on zero hunger. So Twiga is innovatively using mobile technology to streamline the uh, agriculture supply chain and in providing some fair market access for smallholder farmers. And with their own initiative, they are, of course, making profits, but they are ensuring food security, they're supporting farmers and reducing food waste. Um, on the on the flip side, in West Africa, our brother Gregory Roxin is also doing an incredible job there with M Pharma, where through his healthcare delivery, he's solving some issues with SDG 3 that has to do with good health and well-being, and his company is using technology to deliver affordable healthcare to the rural areas. If you are from where I'm from, we know that even having access to quality healthcare within the suburban areas are still a challenge in most African countries, and need less to talk about, in the rural areas. So with his own initiative, many people are having access to timely healthcare, and they can access medicine and medication. Our sister Bernice Daba is also doing an incredible job, and through her initiative, her Bamboo Bag initiative, she's solving issues that concerns SDG 5, 9, 11, and 12 simultaneously. She has created a business that blends entrepreneurship with social impact. So her Bamboo Bag initiative, of course, is tend to make profit, but she's channeling the cause of gender equality, youth empowerment, and all of the issues that have to do with SDG 5, 9, 11, and 12. But I'm pretty sure you are now asking yourself, what is he narrating and telling the success stories of all of these Afro entrepreneurs? The reason is simple. Whether it is an NGO or a social initiative in technology or education or healthcare or even an energy startup that these entrepreneurs are involved with, there is something very familiar through all of their business endeavors. I want to hold you here a little bit and just give you a chance to type in a group. Uh, Let me know, with all of the entrepreneurs and the initiatives that I have pointed out, what do you think is very familiar throughout the initiatives? You could just type one word to describe, the familiarity within the text box. I'll be looking out. Hello, James, are you there?
Yeah, someone just made a submission. I think Mr.
Okay,
Baxter, his name is Baxter, and we have someone also
I'm
typing.
trying to see that.
Yes. So he mentioned SDG.
SDG,
He mentioned,
good.
yes,
Another one mentions what?
brand.
Brand, SDGs brand.
Am I also allowed to make a submission?
No problem. You're part of the class as well. Go ahead, please.
Business. My submission is
Business.
business.
Someone says SDGs, brand, business.
Someone too is typing. I'm seeing some creativity. We have
Creativity.
creativity.
Good one.
Innovation. We have innovation to come in here.
Innovation. And let's get one more.
I'm seeing another typing. Entrepreneurship. Yeah, we have
Entrepreneurship.
entrepreneurship here.
Right,
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. Right. So let's just stop it. Actually, all of you are correct. All of you are correct. But then all of these answers sort of boils down to one thing, and that thing is people. And this is one of the main reasons why we are hosting this webinar. Is the key, is the central point of this webinar. People. You see, A business that goes beyond profit must have a purpose. We talk about driving purpose, right? And that purpose should be uh, to better the lives of people. It should be that which is geared to solve societal challenges while being profitable. And business endeavors should highlight, this shift from profit, just mere profit making, or shareholder value, to a stakeholder value. Uh, Successful entrepreneurs like Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, even our own Aliko Dangote, Mo Ibrahim, and even Jack Ma from China have all followed this rule. That rule is called the triple bottom line. The triple bottom line rule says when you establish a business, it should impact the planet, it should impact people while being profitable. Holding that when it impacts people, it should address the need of our community. It should make the community people life better, and it should also take into consideration the planet, in that it promotes sustainability, as well as, of course, being profitable. And even in profitability, there has to be an insurance of financial viability. But I know many of us are asking ourselves, isn't the SDG, or aren't the SDGs sort of being championed by the United Nations, and aren't they obviously supposed to be non-governmental and non-profitable or non-for-profit? And this tendency of thinking that the SDGs is only centered around donor funding and implementation is somewhat not accurate. And so now many people ask themselves, but how can we also uh, have businesses that align with the SDGs while also making profit for ourselves? My answer to this question is that one one must firstly prioritize at least five significant points in shaping our businesses. And I like to call that the the shaping points for SDGs. One, the S in that shape stands for solution. I mean, with the many problems we face in Africa, it is in it is essential to have a problem solving approach to businesses. And so the first thing to identify in terms of the business landscape is to identify a problem that we want to solve. And even if that problem has been solved before, you want to identify a problem with that solution, and what can we do better, and how can we sort of improve whichever solution that has been formed before. And we should always think about how we can improve that solution. The H here in the shaping strategy stands for how. There is a need to ask ourselves, how will my solution or my business endeavor align with the SDGs? And another thing to take into consideration is also action. We should take actions in establishing our PPP sustainability plan. The PPP we just talked about has to do with planet, people, and profit, right? And just as we talk about these the triple bottom rule that successful entrepreneurs follow. These are some of the parts we ought to incorporate within our business endeavors. The fourth in the shipping plan is P, that has to do with planting. Uh, Many of us, I don't know, as to whether we've been acquainted with buying the land or maybe building a house, but it is almost the same way we go about our business. imagine when you buy a land, right? You have to first survey and and then maybe do your documents, and then you have to put your cornerstone down. You cannot put your cornerstone down without putting an initial on the cornerstone. So similarly in business, we ought to name our businesses, and sometimes that really comes with finding a suitable name for the company, because uh, that has to do with the image as well. And not only naming, we ought to create a business plan, because this serves as the blueprint, same as you buying a land. If you even put the cornerstone down and you want to build a house, you have to have the house plan. So that gives you an understanding how the foundation is supposed to be, where you should put the front door and the back door. The similar approach is given to business as well. So you firstly want to name your company and develop a strategic, whether it is an executive business plan, or maybe is a very thorough or detailed one. There has to be a blueprint that we go by in our businesses. And even at the extent of naming and having our business plan, there has to be a constant evaluation of what we do as entrepreneurs, and especially assessing the potential impact of our business model, and the impact they have on our customers. Sorry, my computer is being a little bit slow. But there's one more important thing that I want us to take away from this class today, is the 2RCM strategy for startups. You see, uh, most businesses in Africa tend to do well, but uh, we do well actually at the expense of our community. Uh, Not necessarily because we have all of the incentive, but one strategy that could really help enhance, some of the thrives we've making with entrepreneurship in Africa, is the 2RCM strategy. The the I here stands for identifying the impact area, and we talked about finding solution, and having this problem solving approach to entrepreneurship in Africa. But what happens after we found a solution? Like who do we impact with that solution, and what is the demographic? There's always a need to know the niche where most people will say. So firstly, you want to select at least one, two, or three SDGs, pillars that sort of align with your vision. If you are in education, SDG 4 will work really well for you. If you are in, if you want to solve energy issues on the continent, that would be SDG 7. And if you are this person very who's very passionate about clean water in Africa, uh, there's a place for you under SDG 6. But regardless of what business area you are interested in, we should always try to align our business endeavors with the SDGs, or make the SDGs align with our business endeavors. The second I in the strategy has to do with integration of sustainability into our business modules. And we've talked about the need for embedding SDG targets within our operations, marketing, as well as partnership. Thirdly, the C here stands for collaboration and network. From the beginning of my class today, I did mention the difficulty that entrepreneurs face in securing finances for the startups, um, and that has had a huge impact on the success and progress of many young businesses on the continent. So the issue of partnership should not be taken lightly. because uh, I think it's much more easy to gather finances from your friends and families than it is for the bank or from the bank. Like I said, banks, they have a very sometimes I say bureaucratic process in lending, and so many requirements. Sometimes perhaps is also out of fear of young businesses not paying back, the money they credited. So we ought to collaborate. If you are working on a business project that requires you to invest 10,000. If you can't get it from the bank, you want to gather around maybe some of your colleagues or your friends who can be convinced that business is profitable, and they can bet on your initiative. And if you have collected 1,000 from at least 10 persons, you might have just raised the money required for you to start that business. So partnership is very important. Another thing is that as entrepreneurs, you don't want to just lock up yourself in a closet. Platforms like these, I'm pretty sure this will not be the end of some of the networkings we have here today. We'll obviously get to know each other, what we're involved with in our respective countries, and how we can collaborate. Collaboration is very important. And there are a plethora of networks like the Young Global Leadership Network, and have some brilliant minds there. And I'm pretty sure there's some entrepreneurship side attached to the platform. And these are some of the incentives we ought to be utilizing. Uh, some global organizations have also opened their arms to young entrepreneurs, like the Power Africa Initiative for energy startups. You have Mo Ibrahim have also uh, sort of stir up some support to young entrepreneurs. The Mandela Washington Fellowship, YALI, have also been very supportive of some of these initiatives. Fourth on the strategy list is the issue of measurement and communication of impact. Um, in in most of our business endeavors, from my own experience, like I said, we operate from grace, and sometimes we have our products and services, and we tend to have this tendency of of saying, okay, like people will obviously buy from us, not necessarily because the products and services that we offer are the best, but because we are used to this culture of community. And so my brother come and buy from me, because we ought to buy from and also promote our African businesses. But this is though this is more like an advantage, this mutual advantage for us as young entrepreneurs, it is not a sustainable way of doing business. Actually, we should endeavor to measure our impact and communicate our value to our consumers or our customers, and and always endeavor to track our progress as well. Another way that I see um, young people, especially in the developed world, using these communication platforms to communicate their impact, has to be on these social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And there is a difference in the way they use social media and the way we use it as Africans or even African entrepreneurs. So the traditional ways, like we have our companies and we show our products, and we just show the picture. But actually, in China and most places in Asia, live streaming is one of the most innovative ways that businesses have been able to sell a huge number of stocks. If you are acquainted with the Chinese equivalent of TikTok, we call that Douyin. So on Douyin, people go and see, like some people selling clothes, some people selling cosmetics. They could buy directly from the social media. And so when young people get on Douyin, it is not just for posting pictures of traveling here and there. It is actually for business. So I kept asking myself as well, we could also use the same thing for TikTok, for Instagram and Facebook. You get uh, some entrepreneurs who are involved with agriculture, who also start live streaming and selling their bananas or maybe the cucumber or even coffee. That could really help with the marketing strategies, or also communicating our impact uh, to our consumers. But I like to stop here a little bit because I think I've been talking for almost an hour now, or even more than that time. I have to stop here to give us the opportunity to interact, ask questions, and get to know what we're involved with as well. If you have a comment on the web, what we've lectured about, I'll be more than glad to hear you out and just have the opportunity to inspire other young entrepreneurs in the room. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dennis. This has been a very lovely webinar. It's sad that we have to bring it to a halt. Yes, so members, please let us hear from you if you have any questions. If you would want to also want to be heard, if you want to speak out, you can equally raise your hand and we can call you out to have your question addressed. Right, so we have Raphael. Raphael, yeah, you can go ahead. Raphael, you can unmute and
Raphael, we cannot hear
yeah,
you.
you are allowed. You are allowed, so you can talk.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I would like to commend the speaker on this very important topic. My major question has to do with the escalating interests that is affecting young entrepreneurs who like to venture into personal business. And if you pick Africa as a continent, the major challenge that is demotivating the younger generation to engage in entrepreneurship rather than always resorting to white-collar job is the accessibility to loan and interest. If you look at the developed world, most of them, their interest rate is an affordable rate. Ghana, for instance, as I'm talking to you, some of the banks even give loan to citizens at 33%. You understand? So imagine as a younger person who would like to establish a business, and then you are going for a loan, you are going to pay 33% of that money to somebody as interest. How can the youth get the motivation to involve themselves in the entrepreneurship? So what can the youth do? The voice of the youth, how can we channel the youth voice in order to influence the policy rates, the policy rate in the various African countries, so that at least everybody can feel free. If you want to do business, you know that after going for the loan, maybe the interest is a bit sustainable, so you can go ahead and do so. That is my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Raphael. That is a very important point, and I'm pretty sure you've also been following the presentations, right? And this issue of accessibility of startup funding is a serious dream killer. I totally agree with you. I mean, even in the African diaspora, uh, we've had we've had similar issue, and one of the ways in which we have been able to solve this is to gather our Chinese partners around. So here at 8K, what we usually do is say I will use the pharmaceuticals as a case study. We have one of um, our entrepreneurs from South Africa who was very involved with like this baby formulas. So he was doing baby formulas for young babies in Africa. He actually has a doctorate degree in medicine, and this is his area in sort of nutrition. And so he came and he was facing the same issue. We had to gather around few Chinese investors who he had the opportunity to sell his idea to, and some people were interested, some people were not. And for us, this is one of the ways we try to help young entrepreneurs who are facing issues with having funding from banks on the African continent. I think this issue of finance accessibility is more like a policy issue, I guess. Say compared to defaulting. And like I agree with you, this it is it's a serious demotivation as well. One, I would say we should hold our government to to account to encourage these banks to lend money to young entrepreneurs, because when we create businesses, it's not just for ourselves. Is it also reduces the stress on the overall stress on government in terms of job creation. That would be one aspect. Another issue, another solution that I always emphasize on is crowdfunding. Crowdfunding has been a very effective way of generating startup capital. I know it is difficult in our times because young people, obviously, you can't go to someone who doesn't have a job and ask them for $1,000 or even like $10,000, right? But that's a challenge that we face with. But I urge young entrepreneurs to look around the surrounding. If they're going to banks and banks can have, give them loan, look around. If you want to take a loan from your parents or maybe from your family, friends, or even like community, that will also be a good thing. And one of my my key motivation for young entrepreneurs as well, you don't have to do everything alone. Most times we think that because the ideas come from us, it means that we should put our own money behind it. No, most of these successful businesses around, it was not really their own money they started with. Like if you have a business idea, perhaps you need 50,000. Don't be too greedy. At least call a couple of your friends who can really afford, and even if they don't bring the money, they bring some level of say innovation and skill set to that project. And I think with these four key areas, this is some of the ways that we could help curtail this sort of demotivation for young entrepreneurs on the continent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good.
Thank you,
I
Raphael.
think
Thank
we
you so much for
had,
your question.
yeah,
Welcome.
I
thank you
saw
so
the hands
much.
of
I think,
Joel.
yeah, I think I did too. Yes,
Yeah.
Joel, let me allow. Okay. Please, Joel, you can now
Hello,
go ahead. Thank you.
Joel, are you there? Your mic is muted, Joel.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay, for Nigeria, and it's been a wonderful session so far. Thank you for the presentation. I'm just concerned much of the topic just on strict business into sport, and there's also a business section of sports as well. I didn't hear you mention how business-wise we could also gain profit or startup using any of the SDGs motive. Um, is there a reference for us to also consider? Because whilst we're discussing mainstream business case, sports is also a growing venture where we're into business also as well. So I
Yeah.
thought to present this.
Joel, please come again. I didn't get that point. Could you restate your main question?
Okay, so my question is, my concern basically, I'm into sports, so there are business opportunities in sports as well. Concerned
Business
about how
opportunities.
we can we can go beyond profit into, yeah, specifically football.
Oh, football
That's
and
my main
sports.
concern.
Yeah, sports.
Yeah,
Right. I mean, the SDG happens to be very, very, should I say, broad, and it goes across a lot of things for, say, social entrepreneurship, say, in energy and what have you. Could you mute your mic so I get to respond, Joel? Thank you very much. So,
yes, I'm
as
here.
far as, yes, uh, as far as sport is concerned, I think that's a very interesting sector. I guess most people don't look at. We love watching football games and we love watching the basketball and everything, but when it comes to sport development, especially in Africa, we tend to downplay it a little bit. But it's a huge industry. I have a lot of other friends who are doing scouting for young talents, and scouting and posting them as well to other African countries as well as Europe. But one thing I don't see very much is the merchandise component. Merchandise is very important. Many times people think that when they watch a football game, is just the ticket money they pay for the game itself, or maybe finding a a cinema where you can go and watch a game. But as African entrepreneurs, I I look forward to see, us football lovers coming up with a more innovative way of doing soccer business, whether it is in merchandise, whether it's in buying and maintaining a football team, or anything else. We've just look at the more like the governmental support part of sport, and that doesn't really give the actual entrepreneurship incentive. I think there is a need for young people to also delve in that area. So, to your question as to whether there are opportunities, of course there are many opportunities out there. But as far as I'm concerned, the issue of maybe the building of academies take a lot of funding. So if you're a young person and you want to start a football academy, you'll be pushing maybe up to the 50K or even 100K, because you have to have a place for practicing, maybe a little dorm for accommodation and what have you. So, but I think what is in our reach as young people, I'm not limiting anyone because I don't know the financial capacity of the people here in this webinar. But what is in our reach, I think it's merchandise. I think there are huge opportunities in soccer merchandise, even in Asia as well as Africa. How about being able to answer your question, Joel?
Yes, yes, yes. You've answered. You've answered.
Thank you so much.
Yes, so from the chat box from Leader Barak, we have a question here. He's saying that what are some of the frameworks that help track SDG progress and accordingly in businesses?
What are some of the frameworks?
Yeah, that help
So,
track SDG progress.
right. That is a very important question. Actually, it depends on which sector you are in. Uh, the SDG itself is not a tracking system, though it is, in alignment with Vision 2030, that most of these goals have to be achieved. I mean, there is an argument around the world, and especially in the United Nations and these non-governmental sectors, that even reaching these goals are impossible before 2030, because we are already behind time. We had an issue with COVID, and that had a serious implication on, how far we can go before 2030. So that in itself is a tracking system for the SDGs. But as far as our individual businesses are concerned, we ought to set our own benchmarks. We ought to set, our own time frame. Say, for example, if you are in say the the uh, the healthcare industry, you could say, yes, I started out providing healthcare to at least 100 persons this year. By 2028, by 2030, or even 2031, like where do I want to see myself? So rather than looking out for SDG tracker, we ought to be tracking ourselves. It is incumbent upon us to set our own goals, and only by then we can track our own progress. That's my answer to Bara's question. Unless if he has, further questions, perhaps that needs to be answered. But I see a lot of people don't have the hands up. I want to ask a question as well. Since you don't have questions for me, I I anticipated this class to be a lot more interactive. As per the SDG, say if you were to start a business in Africa, in or under any of these SDGs, what would you what would be the area that you will venture in? Like, what would be one sector that you think is very paramount to Africa's growth and development? I'd like to hear that from you as well. Do we
Yes,
have
so
Benedict?
please, you can.
Do we have
Okay.
Emmanuel, Monica, Priscilla? I'd like to also know where you're joining from, though. If you're joining from West Africa, East Africa, or any part of the world, just let us know. And we'd like to hear from you as well. Or you can tell us as to whether you're engaged with any other SDG sort of motivated business. I'd like to hear that as well. Barack, I know
Well,
you from
I
Kenya.
think, yeah, I'll make a submission. Well, personally, I am more passionate about SDG 10, which is reduced inequalities. And with my background in social work, I think that, I mean, people having to have the opportunities to thrive, it's one of the things that are very important. And so I would think about, I'm thinking about how, I mean, vulnerable populations can get access to resources so that they can be able to leverage on that to thrive. Because in the African continent, I think we have many of our population that are in various risk conditions, especially we have women that are very much underrepresented in various fields, even though we've seen a considerable level of growth. We could, I am thinking that for a business, I would venture into social service provision, where we can have people coming in with, I mean, their donations, and we can also seek for grants. I mean, even though we have you, UNICEF not working currently, I think there are other avenues where we can draw on resources so that we can use it to, I mean, help vulnerable populations. So that is what I am looking, or how I see to, I mean, contribute to the SDG.
Incredible, incredible. I hope uh to see you go far with your initiative as well. Uh for many people now, I think it is more like a hopeful, say a wishful thing, especially with the issue of USAID being put on pause now. many organizations that are involved with these vulnerable community, they often get the resource from donor fundings. So that is though is a very promising initiative. These are some of the challenges that initiatives like yours will be facing in the coming years. We hope that uh, the issue of defunding it is not like a long-term thing. I hope that people reconsider the decisions to continue giving funding to these sort of initiatives. Uh, I, I would like to hear from Joa as well, though. Like you spoke of sports. Sports is one of a very sort of familiar sector within Africa. We all like the games, right? Uh, what are some of the challenges as a sport entrepreneur that you face so far within like managing the sporting sector for young people in Africa? And how do you think we can improve that? Joel, are you
Okay.
there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. So some of the challenges we face in the sporting sector first has to do with the issue of age, because if you want to do business, you need to know how old your talent, as in your player or players are. First, age issue is a problem. There, there's, there's some situation where people are born in rural places and you cannot have the actual birth information for them. They tend to present the wrong information for what medically would be accepted. So, in marketing such talent, once you go through medical, a different result appears, and it's something that you never thought about, and you've invested hugely in such talent. Now,
Mhm.
because there's a medical difference in the information, you have to start from zero. The other part is interest from parents, interest from the community, interest from national government. Um, it's easy to say I love football or I love sports in general, but then to get involved is a different thing. Now, getting involved uh, covers your support financially, how you contribute to talent. You start from community based first, how the community as a whole, if they're willing to pay dues on a monthly basis, for instance, 1 cent, 1 cent
Mhm.
per home, just in order to move their business. Parents agreeing for their kids to be involved with sports and supporting them morally and financially as well. These things alleviate some of the challenges if we're doing them. Now, the fact that parents are showing lackluster attitude towards supporting their talent.
Mm. Hello, Joel, are you there?
What you do first is, yeah, can you hear me?
I
Yes, I
think
can
Mr.
hear you
Joe is
now.
having a bit of a technical challenge. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
network
Mr.
is
Joe, you're
good.
audible. We can hear
Okay,
you. Oh,
so like I was saying, parents or family members generally will sit wait for last minute success before they come
Mhm.
to claim glory. Now, the original stage is left with an individual. In most cases, they're left with an individual or just a single institution. You will breed those players, nurture them, you give them the exposure until
Mhm.
they reach the final point. If you're bad lucky or you're unfortunate to get them to where you want them to go,
Mhm.
then the burden comes back to you as an individual. Then you have to reinvest, and then it's a loss because
Yeah.
sometimes you invest in
Hello. I think we lost Joel a little bit. Yeah, but
yeah.
so just to re-echo some of the things he was saying, is that he's involved within the sporting sector, and this is a very lucrative sector for most part of the world, especially in Africa. We all love to watch the football games. But then from an African sporting entrepreneurship perspective, he accounted for age as being one of the major challenge with sporting entrepreneurship on the continent. Some people are opportune to be born in the urban areas where you can track the birth record easily. However, most of the great talents are not the ones who even come from the city. They come from the rural areas, and those people to track the ages is also a major challenge. And in fact, some try to sort of guess their ages, and when these guys are being bred and posted to other teams in Europe, they go through the medicals, and when they do the age dating, it is not as accurate as the machine says, and so it's a huge drawback for the industry as well. Also, he made mention of the interest from parents. Now, I think this is a very important aspect. I even talk about this from the beginning of the webinar. Uh, Passion and ability. We often don't have the luxury of that within Africa. I mean, it's also an advantage because our continent need engineers, lawyers, and doctors. However, uh, like developing talents have never been our strength in Africa. In fact, if you are a young person and you have the ability to sing, you better just use that talent as your God-given talent. It's fearful to even go to your parents and say, "Oh, I want to be a rapper," or "I want to be a singer." In fact, they might even disown you. You're either an engineer, a lawyer, a doctor, or else you're a disappointment. So this support from parents is a serious issue. Like African parents ought to continue supporting their kids, because sometimes, yeah, you might uh, go to the college to obtain some degree in engineering, or in medicine. Perhaps that's not your calling. We see many great people have come from our continent to who are doing an incredible job. The leg of Sagadi, even Davido, even our own George Weah. George Weah, for the most part of his life, he was able to bring proud to Liberia and all of the African nations around the world because of his talent. And he did not get a doctorate degree before doing that. It was just by his talent, and they were able to develop on that. And so we ought to be doing that as well. Also, community support. We love to cheer for a team, but we don't like the support in places like Europe and other developed world, the people themselves to support the national team. If you have a team from Kumasi, the people from that Kumasi region ought to even be supporting the team, even if everyone in Kumasi were giving $1 each a year. You might as well contribute 1 million to the local team. So these are some of the challenges that he also put out. Raphael, I see your hands up. You wanted to say something. Please come in.
Yeah, thank you very much. I am really enjoying the submissions. One area that, if you really want to do business too, that we can focus on is LDGs go 4. I think that is a quality education.
Mm.
One problem that our continent is facing, that until we get it right, we are going to get it always wrong. That's the kind of education we are giving to the younger people. It is not education that will make even the citizens or the student love their country. Education that always people are looking elsewhere to leave their environment. But if the education is a complete one, whereby you focus more on the ability of that child and harness that ability, that child can identify that ability or that talent in his environment and use that to improve our society. But more or less, the educational system is not practical. It's something that our focus is on our ability to read and write. That is where today we are drawing conclusion that this person is educated. But the true education must reflect in our character, the way we can identify problem within our environment, in our family, in our homes, and be more independent and find solution to it. But today, go to even our institutions in our country where we are training children to become maybe future leaders. Even in the classroom, in the environment, we are talking about the SDG goes to environment talks about is also part of it. The environment that even the students themselves are learning, the environment is dirty. And so you realize that the physical structure is there as a school, but the content that will refine the child for him to become meaningful to society, that thing is not there. So, so I'm thinking that one area that we should also take critical, if you really want to change the narrative of Africa, down from the crèche, from the basic schools, children must be engaged, and there is no proper mentorship also in our schools and our systems. So children are trying to copy others, copy their friends, whereby they are not called to be there. So aside the curriculum, the pure academic work, I think there should be a proper, even if YGLN can even take on this on, it should be a proper mentorship program in our various schools, whereby the young people could be in the hand of the right people who can nurture them. So while they are acquiring the literacy skills, they can also get people who can also help them to grow their talent. By the time they come into the bigger world, they are well refined. So mentorship problem is lacking in our society. That is why we are having a lot of problems. So I think that is the way that I suggest that we can also go. Quality education must also be taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raphael. Thank you to Raphael and Joel for the both insightful insight. I'm checking. Oh, Barak, I see your hands up. Shall we take one question at least from the chat box before we come back to you,
Yes,
Barak?
right.
Yes.
So we have
Karen.
Karen
Karen
is saying that
Go ahead, please.
she has
Go ahead.
left a question in the chat. Yeah, so she's saying when it comes to the food sector, such as exportation of organic food to outer countries, is there still challenges facing youth entrepreneurs? Yeah.
Well, I'll give you a very typical example, Karen. You asked a very important question. I think when it comes to food security, especially in the organic food industry, Africa has a huge potential. I mean, like, I hate to say this, but when you go out and especially in other areas that have huge population, the the premium is placed on feeding much more people over quality. I mean, few countries have been able to uh, live up. But a lot of countries are doing GMO now. But you go back to our country, to our continent, most of the food we have, the fruits and other stuff we have, they're all naturally grown. This is one huge advantage that we have. One thing I see that is a serious challenge is the issue of preservation. You know, we have organic food, we have a lot, uh, but we waste a lot. And this is one thing I'm really grateful to the initiative of Twiga in Kenya there, where they are also finding innovative ways to distribute some of these agricultural produce. Uh, I give you the example of mango, right? Uh, for most of us, in West Africa, and this is the case for most African countries as well. Like mango grows around like easily, and like the other foods around. But um, most times we only eat mango for one growing season, and in that growing season we either felt all of the we harvest all of the mango from the tree. The ones we can eat, we eat them. The ones that we can't finish, we just trash them. But I see in Asia, people are doing something really different with this growing season. Actually, if you look for mango in the season that mango is now supposed to be grown, you can find it in all season because the preservation sort of like a market here is huge. So you could find cucumber, you could find papaya, you could find any other food that you can see that is just perishable. You can find it through all the year. So I think this is one place we need to put more attention in preservation. I know procuring these facilities and this equipment for storage and preservation is a difficult thing because the capital attached to securing them is high. Perhaps there ought to be some, say, policy put in place for young people who want to start businesses within the food preservation sector, to enhance the capacity. I think this is the major challenge in the sustainability of this organic food industry in Africa. So thank you for your question, Karen, and I hope it's a exploitation of organic food. Yeah, so I hope whichever business endeavor you are involved with, you could find opportunities around you. Uh, so far, I don't know which companies are supporting these sort of entrepreneurs. Maybe there will be a need to reach out to Twigger from Kenya. Barack, you are in Kenya, so if you know of any opportunity maybe that Twigger is using as well, you could share that with Karen. I saw someone also having a hands up. Barack, you're asking a question? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, so I think it was Mr. Basta wanted to also make a contribution. Basta, please, if you are available, you can unmute and start with your question, please. Oh, I see that he's typing. So, yeah, if anyone else has any submission, I think this is the right time to do so because we are getting to the end of our webinar. So this is from Dorothy. Said Dorothy joining from Ghana. I have a passion for SDG goals 4 and 10. Yeah, good to know, Dorothy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Hashim Yusuf.
Mr. Basta is still typing.
Whilst we're waiting for Basta, could we take Hashim Yusuf? Please go ahead, Hashim.
Okay, good. All right. Please, Hashim, you can now go ahead. Thank you. Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, Hashim, please go
Hello?
ahead.
Thank you very much. Sorry for coming late. I did not follow the conversation from onset. I just came in, and I would like to extend my greetings to each and everyone present. My issue is on entrepreneurship. Let's take it for instance in Ghana, in Africa in general. I observe that a lot of people are entrepreneurs, but they don't know that they are entrepreneurs. You go to the market, like let me say Okanshi or in Accra, the central market of Accra. You see people doing their business, trading. Some of them even go to as far as China and come, and they are in the informal sector. Most of them are not educated. They are not even, they don't know how to balance their business, but they are controlling a lot of cash. I've seen a woman who goes to China, she cannot even write a name, but she can go to China and import a lot of products, which at least at the end of the day, she makes millions of dollars, or if not thousands, millions. Is it? So I think we should at least, just as somebody said, mentorship is also counted there, because we need to psyche their mind to let them know that they are very important. They serve the interest of the nation, and also they can at least blend their business with the local content. For instance, people in Ghana, we import a lot of rice. They say 1.2 billion worth of rice outside, and from India, China, and the Thailand, yeah. And there are a lot of farmers in the villages who can also contribute to this sector. But it seems because we are thinking of foreign import and those things, that makes those farmers in the village to their business to die off, because after production they don't get ready market. So we need mentorship from these kind of sectors to make people know that, okay, although you have not been to school, but you can do a lot. So this is a way, and they should at least have, a lot of them don't even have bank accounts. I don't know. I don't understand. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So the informal sector is also contributing a lot to the economy. So we should also target that area of business. Thank you very much.
Right. You made a very important point, Hashim. Mentorship is very important. I think the brother Ishmael Raphael also pointed out that the issue of mentorship is also important, even for people who don't seem to have been educated, or to have this standard education just as in high school. Mentorship is still essential for them. I also see in the group here, uh, Batsa asked a question. Uh, there was a statement on how it's important to align your business to the SDG. How do you do in sectors like manufacturing, mining, and construction, which are perceived to be adverse to climate? This is a very important question, and this is some of the things I'm also looking at in my doctoral research. Africa's industrial frontier, and how green energy plays a major role in this sort of energy leapfrog. I think for sectors like mining and manufacturing, they're rather huge, and the companies that are involved with these sort of activities are gradually, shifting the energy source to more eco-friendly power generation. I believe it will be a gradual process, but in terms of young people involving with this sector, I think one issue to look out for is to just uh, deciding to do the right thing as well. We have solar energy now has been made sort of uh, available on the continent. I'm not too sure about the price, because um, it also depends on where you're buying the solar from, the solar sheets from. That will also determine the price. But there is an encouragement for manufacturers on the continent to adopt more sustainable energy source for production. Um, as 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 far as you know, um, young people are concerned on and these sector, I think whenever we are aligned with these companies, is also our duty, to make our companies sort of uh believe these reservoirs attached with, like generating power based on this conventional use here and there. But I would also like to know what what you think Africa can do, to not follow the mistake of the developer, especially Europe, which industrialized based on these cheap energy source like coal and not so environmentally friendly. Pastor, if you can come in a little bit to tell us your own solution for Africa in terms of Africa's development, because there's an argument here as well, of the the African continent, especially leaders from Mali. I think last time I listened to the Senegalese president, and one of those countries, they have discovered oil, and some of the countries in the global north, that's the developing countries, are detecting to them and saying, "Oh, we are fighting climate change, and so there shouldn't be a proliferation of new oil production countries in the world, and so we should try to reduce that." And so there's an argument between, like leaders of uh, both areas, that, oh, you guys, you develop at the expense of cheap energy source. How can you now tell us that we should not use our oil because of this climate change kind of thing? So I'd like to know your own stance. What are some of these practical steps Africa can take, while developing, but also aligning our development with the sustainable development goals, especially in climate change? Whilst we're waiting for Batsa on a response, anyone else have a question or comments or point they're trying to raise? Joel, I still see your hands up. You want to say something?
Right. So we have our founder here, Mr. Dr. Emmanuel Ado, joining us. Please, if you're here, can you please say something?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Welcome, Emmanuel.
Great, Dennis. Yeah, I'm happy. I've been on here for I think almost an hour or so, and it's been really insightful. And it is my hope that we have all made something out of it, and it will help shape our life and our way of work. And I would also want to use this to appreciate Dennis for your time, and also appreciate all participants who joined to gain some knowledge and more wisdom. Hopefully, I think we will engage Dennis more because his session has been really, really insightful, really professional. And I have personally learned a lot. So we will bring Dennis more often to engage us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Emmanuel. It's been an absolute pleasure being with you here, and I really appreciate it. Guys, it's almost 1 o'clock my time here. I would love to spend more time with you, but obviously we have to get some sleep. Is this also part of the sustainable development goals, right? For living longer time. Yeah, so it's been a wonderful time. I appreciate all of your comments and your questions and what have you. Hopefully, we have more time to discuss in the future, as the CEO has said, and I look forward to talking to you on different life issues, be it entrepreneurship, be it academics, or anything else that could improve uh, our respective like professional sojourn. So I like to in general say thank you again for everyone joining from different time zones. I see my brother joined from Liberia, Joel. Joel and I went to high school together though, so just to mention that, I'm happy to see you. And interestingly, he grew up in Ghana, so it's a pleasure to be here. Barak and I met in Kenya, and we had a wonderful time there. There are a few people who I've not met in person here, and I'm looking forward to attending some of your programs especially in person. I don't know if you have any that are upcoming, but I just want to say I had a wonderful time, and thank you for your patience and your sacrifice you made for joining the webinar. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful night, and see you later.
Yes, thank you so much. We are very grateful. And yes, so this brings us to a successful closure of our webinar. You can stay in touch with our speakers, and you can get in touch on LinkedIn. We have the social media platforms attached to the link. And if in case you would also want to join YGLN and you're not a member yet, we have our website www.ygl